Hey everyone, how's it going? Forrest here, again with another installment of my complete analysis of all 389 Bach chorale harmonizations. Today we're looking at Machs mit mir, Gott, nach deiner, which translates to deal with me, God, according to your kindness. All in all, a very straightforward chorale, kind of an interesting cadential structure in the first section. We'll talk about it when we get there. But all in all, yeah, not too many interesting things in this chorale, especially in comparison to yesterday's. So let's just hop right into it. So we're in the key of D major in this one. 2 sharps in the key signature. We start on D major and we end on D major. It's a no-brainer. And we start on a 1 chord, of course. D major, like I just said. We have some passing tones in the tenor and the soprano. And then we have D, A, D, and F sharp again. So that is another D major triad. No need to reanalyze on that one. And then we go to B, G, D, and G. It's a G major triad over B. In the key of D major, that is a 4/6 chord. Passing tone in the tenor. And then we have C sharp, E, E, and A. That's an A major triad over C sharp, or 5/6. And then we have D, F sharp, D, and A. It's a root position D major triad, passing 7th in the alto. Missed a passing tone there as well, another passing 7th. And then we have E, G, B, and G. That's E minor in root position, so a 2 chord, passing tone in the alto. F sharp, A, D, and F sharp. That is a 1 chord, a D major triad over F sharp, so 1/6, passing tone in the bass. And then we have A, C sharp, and E. That is a 5 chord. Forgot to mention that this is a half cadence. So we have 1 cadence here on A major, and it's a half cadence. If we look ahead, we have another cadence on A major, but this one sounds like a perfect authentic cadence to me. Let me know if you think it sounds different. Anywho, so we're looking for a modulation point, and we're seeing G sharps in the next measure, so I'm thinking this A major over C sharp here, which would just be a 6 in the key of D major. Sorry, I should further elaborate. Not a 6 chord, but rather a first inversion chord. So not Roman numeral 6, but regular numeral 6. We go to A major here, and this is now 1/6 in the key of A major. We then have B, D, F sharp, and B. That is a root position B minor triad, or if we consider this F sharp an accented non-chord tone, this is a 7/6 chord, or a G sharp diminished over B, and I think that that's a more likely progression. Again, they basically achieve the same thing, so I'll go ahead and put 2 in parentheses underneath it because it's a passing chord. They're both achieving the same thing. A, E, A, and C sharp. That is a root position tonic triad, A major. G sharp, E, B, and D. That is an E7 chord over G sharp, or 5/6/5. A, E, A, and C sharp. Again, another tonic triad. That's exactly where we expect it to go. D, F sharp, A, and B. That is a B minor 7 over D sharp, over D natural. Bach loves his 2/6/5 chords. And then we have E, E, G sharp, and B. Root position E major triad with a passing 7th in the tenor, and then we cadence on 1. So we have 2 cadences on A major. One is a half cadence and one is a perfect authentic cadence. I think that's the most interesting part of this chorale, to be honest. All right, moving on, if we look to the next cadence, we have a half cadence on A major again, which is kind of interesting because it's like, well, we are in the key of A major. What makes this cadence any different? Especially because, we see D sharp and G sharp, right? It's like, what makes this sound like a half cadence? Honestly, we have A going up to D here, and then it kind of just descends the D major scale with no chromaticism in the melody. Granted, Bach didn't need chromaticism in the melody to get to A major before, but we see E turning into the dominant of A here over this phrase, which is kind of what's happening here. A going to D really makes us feel like we're in the key of D major. So this A major triad where the voices, it's really just the bass leaping up, and then we get some passing tones in the lower voices. This is turning now into 5 in the key of D major. So we're moving back to D major. And we have D, A, F sharp, and D. That is a root position tonic triad. And then D and F sharp on these beats. Remember, those are chord tones, but we'll mark that as the chord inverting or reverting. Then we have E, G, E, and C sharp. That is a C sharp diminished triad over E. In other words, 7, 6. Some passing tones in the lower voices again. And then we have G sharp, B, D, and B. That would be let's try that again. G sharp, that's G natural. Sorry, I'm thinking like the last key we were in. G natural, B, D, and B. That is a root position G major triad, or a 4 chord. Usually 4 goes to 7, but the more I'm looking at Bach's music, the more I realize that maybe his relationship with harmony was transitive as well. It's not just one direction. 4 can go to 7 because 7 can go to 4, which is kind of interesting. It's like a little deceptive progression. Or he's prolonging the progression because 4 going to 7 would be cadential in nature, but 7 going to 4 could spiral elsewhere and then eventually arrive at a cadence. That's a root position 4 chord. Sorry, I still had G sharp in my mind. That would have drastically changed my analysis. We then have E, B, F sharp, and A. So E is our outlier here, and we're looking at this D sharp, B, F sharp, and A. That would be a B7 chord over D sharp. So that would be some type of 5 chord. It'd be 5, 6 of 2 because B is the dominant of E minor. And then we would expect E minor on the next beat, or E minor would be the trajectory if it were not the immediately following chord. So E, B, E, and G, there's our E minor chord. And we're seeing 2 chords in root position, which is kind of odd. Then get C sharp passing tone in the tenor, F sharp, D, A, and F sharp. That is a 1 chord in first inversion, D major over F sharp. Some passing tones, and then we get A, C sharp, and E. Root position A major triad, cadencing on 5. And listen to the chorale again. Let me know if you're convinced that we're in the key of D major. It sounds like D major to me. Another giveaway is that we're seeing a cadence on the same chord that we saw before, and it's also a half cadence. So I don't know. Let me know if your analysis is any different. F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, and A. It's interesting. We expect 5 to go to 1, but we get a deceptive progression here, 5 going to 3. And we learn in harmony class that a deceptive cadence is 5 going to 6, but really, it's when 5 doesn't go to the tonic. That's when we are deceived, right? So 5 going to 3 is kind of like 5 going to 6, in the same way that it is a third away from 1, so it has 2 notes in common. F sharp minor has the F sharp and the A in common, and what would be the other one? B minor has the D and the F sharp in common, so just one is one way and one is the other way. B, B, D, and G. That is I guess it depends on how you look at it. Let's try that again. B, B, D, and G. That is a G major triad over B, so it's a 4-6. But if we look at C sharp, A, E, and G, there's kind of like a 5-7 going on here with these voices, and usually a giveaway that the harmonic rhythm is more than just on quarter note, sort of like a quarter note basis. is when multiple voices move and you can spell a triad. Ultimately, I don't really hear 5 here, but I could put it in parentheses, I suppose. 5-7 or 5-6-5 because it's over the C sharp, which is the third of the chord. And then we have D, A, D, and F sharp. And 5 does want to go to 1, so it doesn't hurt anyone that it's in parentheses. This E is a 9/8 suspension over the bass. We then have A, C sharp, D, and E. We know this D is a suspension. Bach likes suspensions, especially in the alto. We get 5 just in root position, some with a neighbor tone and a passing tone, so some non-chord tones in the upper voices. And then we have B, G, D, and G. So 5 going to 4-6, another deceptive progression because the bass goes to 6, because B is the 6th of the scale, it's the submediate. So it's another kind of deceptive progression. A, D, and F sharp. That is a 1-6-4 chord. We're getting ready for a cadence anyways. A, D, and F sharp. And then we get A, C, E, and A. We'll call that 5 with a passing 7th. You know, I like to use this bracket because it's just a memory from harmony class. And then we have 1 chord. Perfect authentic cadence on D major. All in all, a very quaint chorale. Very beautiful melody. I think it's really interesting how Bach contextualized the melody and was able to cadence on A major 3 times in 2 different ways. So we have 2 half cadences on A major where we are in the key of D, and 1 perfect authentic cadence in the key of A. I think that's pretty neat. Very resourceful, very clever. And then of course we round out the end of the chorale with our only perfect authentic cadence in the key of D. It's really interesting how we can be in a key and spend so little time really exploring that the idea of like the tonic, because we're cadencing, we're like half cadencing and stuff. But all in all, it's a very quaint chorale. It was a delight to analyze. Let me know if your analysis was any different. Thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for supporting the channel, and I look forward to tomorrow's analysis. Take care.